Hello students, welcome back to the chapter Economic Reform. In this video, we'll discuss about the appraisal of LPG policies. We have discussed about the liberalization, privatization and globalization. Now in this meeting, in this video, we'll discuss about what are the various achievements of LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. So, increasing rate of economic growth. Because of LPG, there is increase in the economic growth rate. Why this economic growth rate increased? We know that after NEP, so much reforms were introduced for development of economy. In liberalization, various reforms we have seen. Industrial sector reform, foreign exchange reform, tax and investment, trade and investment reform, fiscal reform. We have seen various reforms. Because of that, there is the growth of the economy. Also seen in the privatization, so much chances are given to private sector for development of economy. There is increase in the investment, foreign investment limit also, and we have given the FDI also. We have invited the FDI. Because of that, economic growth is increased. So it increased from 5.6 in 1991 to 7.6 in 2015-16. So our economy becomes stagnant or going to collapse. It starting the developing. Slowly it started the developing economy. Then rise in foreign exchange reserve. After NEP, there is starting the increase in the rate of the foreign exchange reserve. Before NEP, we have seen that foreign exchange reserve is falling down. Why the foreign exchange reserve is falling down? Because of import is greater than export. But after 1991, various steps were taken like the reduction in import duty, removal of export duty, abolition of quota system. Because of that also, and FDI, increase in the foreign investment limit. Because of that, there is increase in the foreign exchange reserve. It increased from 3,362 million US dollar in 1991 to 25,186 million in 1995. Increase in foreign investment. We have seen that before 1991, there is so much restriction. We have seen 40% limit is allowed. Up to 40% foreign investment is allowed. But after 1991, 51% foreign investment is allowed. And because of that, MNC starting interest in investing in our India. Because of that, there is increase in the foreign investment. Now next is a control on inflation. Before NEP, there is huge inflation. Why this inflation is? Demand is greater than supply. But after NEP, there is control on inflation. Why this? Inflation is controlled. You see, privatization. In privatization, private industries have given the chances to set up more and more. Restriction is removed. And in the private sector, foreign companies are also given the chances. Disinvestment is allowed. So because of that, there is increase in the productivity. Because of increase in productivity, supply increased and automatically inflation is controlled. Private sector banks are allowed. Because of that, there is a low rate of interest. Because of this competition, the customer are ultimately beneficial of that. So there is a control on inflation. Then control on fiscal deficit. We have seen that before NEP, there is fiscal deficit. Expenditure is much greater than revenue. But after 1991, the fiscal deficit is controlled. Why this fiscal deficit is controlled? Because of privatization, FDI, there is increase in the foreign exchange reserve. Privatization, FDI, foreign investment limit, export, much more export. Because of that, there is no need for the government to borrow. So it reduced from 8.5% in 1991 to less than 3.5% in 2016-17. Next is a deficit in balance of payment control. We have seen that before 1991, there is a deficit in balance of payment. What is balance of payment? We know that is a statement of account. It is a transaction with the other countries. So in deficit, why? Because our import is much greater than export. But after NEP, deficit is controlled Why it is controlled? Because our export, we are exporting much more, and FDI also given chances, foreign investment limit. Because of that, there is inflow of the foreign exchange. So this deficit is controlled in terms of payment also. Then promotion of export, removal of export duty leads to increase in much more export, removal export duty and the privatization. So because of that, there is a promotion of export. So these are the various achievements of LPG policy. Then what, there are some negative aspects also. For LPG, there are some negative impact. First one is a neglect of agriculture. The primary sector, which is very basic sector for us, it is neglected and much more emphasis is given only to the industries. Service sector, industry sector is given the importance. So neglect of agriculture, this is a main negative impact of LPG. Jobless growth. The growth is jobless because much more industries which are inculcating for the privatization. Private sector industries are increasing. So there is no secure job. The people have no security of the job. So growth is the jobless. Increase in income inequality. Why there is income inequality? The rich become richer, poor become poorer because of globalization, because of MNCs coming to India. There is income inequality. The domestic producer who can fight with the MNCs, they are becoming more richer, and the poor producers which cannot fight, they have to exit from the market. So there is income inequalities. Adverse effect of disinvestment policy. This is also the negative impact. Because of disinvestment, if the disinvestment is taken by the multinational companies, foreign country, then what happen? They can take over that part of the public sector, and that because of MNC, there is a technology advancement, there is much finance. So this is not the capacity for the domestic producer to fight with them. So there is an adverse effect of disinvestment policy on the domestic producers. Then spread of consumerism. Spread of consumer after globalization, after privatization, there is much more competition in the Indian market. So the market become the consumer oriented. As per the need and want of the consumer, the producer have to produce the goods. So consumers are the ultimately beneficial of that. There is a spread of consumerism. Cultural erosion. Because of the globalization, what happened? There will be the cultural erosion. The Indian culture is getting exhausted, and people are adopting the foreign culture. An example that McDonald's, Chinese food, we are adopting that culture. So there is a cultural erosion. The next is that encourage economic collision. Because of MNC, there is a much control of the MNCs. So there is a encourage. This will increase the economic colonialism. So these are the some negative impact of the LPG policy. Next, outsourcing and WTO will continue in the next video. Thank you so much.